Hey everybody, this is Mr. Boobin. It's time for math. Well, this morning we're going to be doing a review lesson on quadrilaterals. So, try to do this foldable along with me. You're going to need two pieces of paper. Somehow I just happened to pull out purple and orange, but I guess I'll just have to go with it. Then you're going to need a couple different colored pens. Okay, it might help out. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to fold your paper long ways or hot dog style. Our goal of doing this is to create a little foldable to help us understand the different types of quadrilaterals and what they mean. Oh yes, and you may need some scissors as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this into 3 parts. They don't have to be perfect. There's 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to do the same thing with my purple paper as well. Now, if you're going to glue this onto a poster or a notebook, you might want to make them opposite style. If you want to make it into a book or something like that, then you could do it facing the other direction. It's your choice. Alright, next we're ready to label. So I'm going to start with my orange one first. Get the other one out of the way. So the top flap, I'm going to label a square. Go ahead and do this along with me, and of course pause the video if I'm going too fast. Now on the front, we're just going to draw our traditional square, what we think of as a square. And on the inside, we're going to label its characteristics, okay? Now my square is not perfect, but that's why we'll write our characteristics. So the attributes of the square we'll write on the inside. Well, we know that all squares have 4 equal sides. All squares have 2 pairs of parallel sides. And all squares have 4 right angles. I like to think of them as square corners. I could draw a box in each corner. So I have 4 right angles. Remember, as we're going to talk about later on in the week, a right angle is 90 degrees. Okay? Now, let's move over to the inside of that flap and see if we can make one. Now, a square is pretty simple. There's just one way to draw it. We could draw it bigger or we could draw it smaller. I'm going to label some of them. So remember, to show that the sides are equal, I'm going to make a little tick mark. There's 1 tick mark here and 1 here. It's showing that those sides are equal. Now my 2 pairs of parallel sides, I'm going to circle the sides. I'm going to draw a little arrow up and an arrow down. It's showing that those sides are parallel. And I could do the same thing on this side. I'm going to use a different color. Circle over those sides, showing those sides are parallel. Now, it's okay if your picture is getting a little bit complicated. Our goal is to remember what those attributes mean. And then our 4 right angles, I'm going to use a different color, and I'm going to draw a box on the corner. There's our square. Next, we're going to move on to a rectangle. So, let's move down to the next flap, and we're going to label it rectangle. I'm going to draw what I think of as a rectangle. Then we'll open it up to the inside. Our attributes for a rectangle are that we have 4 sides. Of course, they're all quadrilaterals, so they'll all be 4 sides. Then the opposite sides are equal. Doesn't mean all of the sides are equal, but opposite sides. we have two pairs of parallel sides. And just like the square, we have four right angles. Now, let's draw an example of a rectangle. Well, I know I can draw and label this one. Okay, and I'm going to label it. I've got my four sides. My opposite sides are equal, so I'm going to draw one tick mark on each side here, but I'm going to draw two tick marks over here because this side is not equal to this side, but it is equal to the opposite side. You can see right there. Okay. Next we have our two pairs of parallel sides. And same thing over here. Okay. And last we have our four right angles. Now, it might surprise you to know that there's another way that we could draw this rectangle. Very different way. In fact, we've already drawn one. Here's my square. But my square, let's see if it fits the definition of a rectangle. Well, it has four sides. The opposite sides are equal. One, two, these are equal, and these are equal. It has two pairs of parallel sides, and it has four right angles. Now, we can label all of those as well, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to label that right now. But I've drawn my rectangles, even though one has a more specific category called a square. The next flap, we're going to move down and we're going to label it parallelogram. It's kind of fun to say. Make sure I spell it right. All right, now parallelogram I like to think of as a tipped over rectangle. But we're going to find out that a lot of other shapes fit the definition of parallelograms as well. See if you can figure it out before I get there. Well, we know it has four sides. Then we know that its opposite sides are equal. Sounds just like our rectangle so far. It has two pairs of parallel sides. And it has four angles. And actually just add that up here. Did you hear anything about right angles? Me either. That's what sets it apart from the rectangle. All right, let's see if we can draw an example. Well, of course, we know a parallelogram can look like this, but there are other ways to draw it as well. This is a parallelogram, and this is a parallelogram. Now let's take a look at all of them. They all have four sides and four angles. The opposite sides of all these shapes are equal. Two pairs of parallel sides are in all of these shapes as well. Remember, a rectangle and a square have more specific definitions, but they all fit into the definition of a parallelogram. Well, I'm running out of time, so I'm not going to label these, but you can do that on your own. Now, let's move over to our other page. On this page, I'm going to label the first one rhombus. Okay, I'm going to think of a rhombus. I like to think of it as a squashed square. turn it the other way, it does kind of look like a diamond. And our attributes. Well, we have 4 equal sides, kind of like a square. Let's see how it's set apart. Opposite sides are equal. And then we have 2 pairs of parallel sides. Last, it has 4 equal sides. It doesn't necessarily have any right angles, but it definitely will have 4 angles, as all quadrilaterals will. So, let's draw it. We could draw it any different way that it's facing. Might look something like that. Might look something like that. So what we're saying is a square is a rhombus because it has 4 equal sides. Its opposite sides are equal. It has 2 pairs of parallel sides and 4 angles. Take a moment and label it along with these characteristics. Last, we have our trapezoid. A trapezoid has 4 sides. Oops, I'm so sorry. Let's draw it first. And now we have an L on our trapezoid. The left side of the trapezoid. I better draw an R, so we've got a right side of the trapezoid. Oh, those kind of look like eyes. So here, we'll give them a smile. There we go. On the inside, let's write our characteristics. We know we have 4 sides. We have 1 pair of parallel sides. And we have 4 angles. Notice I didn't say anything about right angles. Okay? So, our trapezoid could look very different. We're going to draw a traditional one here. Now let's go ahead and label real quick. So we have our 4 sides, 2, 3, 4. Next, it says I have 1 pair of parallel sides. So, look, this one is not parallel to this one, but we have parallel lines right here. And there we have it. So, on the last one, if you want to make an irregular quadrilateral, you can do that. Or you can have a bonus one should you come up with your own category. I hope you enjoyed learning a little about the different types of quadrilaterals as we define them by their attributes. See you later.